One of the biggest questions in this space is whether or not we're still going to be getting the map reworks and when we're potentially going to be getting them. This was promised, I think, several years ago. And when I mean several years ago, I'm not lying because this was promised back in 2023. So it's almost 2 years. So yeah, I think that counts as several years ago. But yeah, this was released or announced 2 years ago. But this exact tweet right here was released about nearly 2 years ago on February 26th. And it promises map reworks, right? That was one of the biggest things that it promises, map reworks. However, it's now currently 2025 and not a single site of map reworks have yet been seen in the actual game. Like, I think there were several maps that was reworked, mainly Grade 3 and apart from Grade 3, Hydra Island. Why Grade 3 got reworked, I'm not very sure. But yeah, Grade 3 and Hydra Island did get reworked. But none of those in Second Sea or First Sea. And none of the other maps in Third Sea as well, except for those two. So the question remains right here. Is Map Reworks going to be releasing anytime soon? Is it going to be releasing this year? Now, let me start this off by saying that map reworks, and what's the most interesting here is the fact that map reworks are already finished, right? If you go check the sneaks and the leaks right here, these sneaks were sneaked several years ago, like literally 2 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna stop using the word several, but it was sneaked like 2 years ago. Okay, so if this was sneaked 2 years ago, that means they've been working on it for a very long time, and that means that by now this should be finished unless they stopped working on it, right? So why is it still not being released? So I'll give you guys two answers, and the first answer is going to be kind of negative. And while I do want to try to avoid being negative in this channel now and try to avoid, complaining too much, the first reason is likely because they don't want to release all their reworks together, even though they probably already finished it. Case in point, Divine Arts, which is something that's already been leaked and sneaked by a bunch of hackers already, is still not being released in the game, even though it's pretty much confirmed that it's already completely finished. And one of the reasons why is probably because if they do release all of their content, they'd have to work on more content, which is probably not the best thing for them. I think that bloxfruits developers try to minimize their work by spacing these updates in order to, maximize the amount of players that they're gonna get while reducing the amount of work that they have to put in. I think that's one of the reasons why, because there's really only one other explanation as to why map reworks has not been released yet, and that is because they haven't been reworked yet, or they got reworked. So the map reworks got reworked, maybe because they're trying to add new things that they're trying to fit into these maps, so they had to rework their reworks. But I think it's very unlikely that that's the case, and more likely that the case is that they basically just didn't want to release them all at the same time, because if they do, they're gonna have to think of new content to release, which is not really the most favorable thing for them. But yeah, I do believe that we might be getting the map reworks this year alongside the Control Fruit rework if we're lucky. But honestly, what do you guys think, right? What do you guys think?